we felt like we had very little adversity in week one. Week two we go on the road for the first time. Thought we moved the ball well, but we were really careless with the football, turning it over 5 times. There's probably 4 others, 2 passes and 2 other balls that we put on the ground that we ended up getting back on that could have very easily gone the opposite way. And, those 2 things probably stand out the most. Defensively, we gave up the big shot, had a couple of interference calls where we're just not in great position from that standpoint. So we've got to get some things cleaned up with the eye discipline on that side of it, and then obviously taking care of the football on our side. The positive thing is you find a way to get done on the road against a really good team. With the adversity that we had from a turnover standpoint and putting the defense in some bad spots, they stood up tall and backs against the wall, made more plays. So we took the ball away from them 3 times. So, with all the negative that did happen, a lot of positive to be able to get out of there with a win as well. So happy with the guys about that part. Yeah, and that's something that we talked about since, winter conditioning is that, to go from a 4-win team a year ago, whether you're talking about practice in the spring, practice in early camp, learning these types of lessons early in the fall, you've got to learn how to win. It's a skill that's something that you can work on. It doesn't just happen overnight. So I was happy for the guys about that part of it, that we found a way to get it done, whether it's pretty or not. There was, myself included, I had a tough time after the game getting to that point where you could finally smile just with the way it went. But when you look back on it, to go find a way to get it done, again, that says a lot with our maturity in our locker room and the guys being able to just play the next play, something that we preach a ton about. When it's not going well, when it is going well, to flush that play and move on to the next one. So I thought our guys did a really nice job with that part of it. But to get back to your question, to have that adversity after the way things went in week one, I thought was good for the reality check purpose of a lot of our guys. Like I said earlier, we had a lot of success in that first game. Not a lot went wrong. So to have it thrown back in our face the very next weekend, and then the guys be able to handle it the way they did, I thought was great. Sure, it wasn't just the second half. I mean, you turned it over 5 times. It's right from the get-go. We score on the first drive. We're going in on the very next drive to make it 14-0. We put the ball on the ground on the 4-yard line, and then the very next drive, quarter flips, take a shot on 1st and 10 on the plus side of the 50, and it gets picked. So, when you go back and look at the film, it very easily, I shouldn't say it that way. We had a chance to make it 21-0 right at the beginning of the game, which it's a completely different feel for that football game when you get to halftime. Instead, you find yourself in a battle because you give the football back to them so many times, and it's just something that you can't do. There's not very many times you're going to turn the football over 5 times and get away with a win, regardless of who you're playing. So, that part cannot happen if we're going to have any success. So, but the defense, I thought, like I said, we put them in terrible situations a couple of times, and they stood tall in all those situations. We were talking about it as a staff on Sunday, the 2 bad situations that our defense had, ball getting over the top for an 89-yard touchdown, and then the other drive they went on were coming from the minus side of the field. Every time we put them in a bad situation, they responded to it in a very positive way. So, it's all learning situations for everybody, but no question that the defense was a huge part of getting out of there with a win on Saturday. I thought they did a nice job. There was some stuff that we left out there. It was not Alex's best day, and he knows that. Everybody knows that. So we need to keep harping on that. But I thought that, for the negatives, the turnovers and putting the ball in jeopardy, those 2 had a great day. And then, if you weren't at the game, it was probably tough to see it. But Darius played out of his head, didn't score, but put us in a situation where whether it was line of scrimmage screens to him or making plays downfield. He just what we saw last year from Darius showed out on Saturday, and then you're just I don't remember exactly what it was. I want to say 8 or 9 catches maybe for Darius, but we got him the ball on the jet sweeps and whatever else. He probably should have touched it 10 more times, to be honest with you. So he made a lot of things happen on his own on Saturday, which was huge for our offense moving the football. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I don't. It's not that he or Mettlach or Martish, didn't show up ready to play against Hillsdale. It just happened to be one of those days where what they were doing from a coverage standpoint, it only made sense to keep going back to Ethan. Platteville played a little bit of the same types of coverages. They started getting to the point where they were playing some trap coverage on the boundary to take Ethan away from us. So we had to go back to the field. But, D-Will is always going to be a focal point of our offense. The tough part about Saturday was with the different looks they were showing and then the way the game was going, the Q was a little bit shook after that first quarter. So when they started taking Champney away on the boundary to the field, our best football player is standing by himself quite a bit, and we just weren't seeing him. And that's all part of, what we've been talking about since the beginning of early camp, that there are going to be some mistakes that a young Q makes where things start moving fast. They start changing up coverages. You got to be disciplined with your eyes. And, they got us a little bit with what they were doing with their coverages, and we just didn't have the answer in terms of where we should go with football if they're taking away, the initial read. So he'll get better from that. Great learning experience, but, Darius was a huge part of it Saturday for sure. Yeah, it's going to be another tough trip. We're banged up right now, so we'll have some new bodies playing, which, always concerns you. But we feel good about the guys that are behind some of those kids that are not going to play. They're big and physical in the box defensively. They're very good at corner in terms of their physicality there. Offensively, they've got some weapons on the outside that, always concern you when they try to formation the field to take shots. So, we're going to have to be getting back to what it is that we do well, taking care of the football offensively, making sure the ball is moving and staying patient from that standpoint to where we're not trying to force things down the field. And defensively, again, I've mentioned it the last couple of weeks, but I love what our front does. Our back end's got to be real disciplined with their eyes. They run a lot of crossing routes. They do some switch stuff with their verticals and try to play with our coverages. So we're going to have to be good on the back end, keeping everything in front of us. And again, if they get, shot plays from our defensive side of things, it's got to be stuff where we can tackle it, not, we can give up a 25-yard gain every once in a while. It just can't be an 80-yard touchdown because people get behind us. So whole bend don't break mentality, but they're good. They're going to be at home for the 3rd week in a row, so they're going to probably be fresh. So no question, our guys are going to have to get on the bus with the right mindset and show up ready to go from the opening kickoff, which I thought we did a nice job of last weekend as well. We just the wheels fell off there at the end of the first quarter, and then we were in a battle. Sure, that started in December. With our conditioning program, Coach Ferguson's done a great job with that part of it. But throughout the spring, early camp, we've been stressing, not only that the twos are paying attention and taking advantage of their reps, but if you go look at our practice plans, our ones and twos are getting the same amount of reps in no matter what period we're talking about. So we've done everything we could from a practice standpoint to get those guys reps in our system. But it's like we talked about with Alex earlier. You sometimes game reps are faster and things are moving quicker. And when the bright lights come on, mentally, are you where you need to be from that standpoint? So, we're confident with the guys that are behind them that they know what's going on. But, there's going to be mistakes, and hopefully the mistakes just aren't big ones at that point.